So this tutorial is to give you some ideas for the tattoo exercise that we're doing as part of our vector and raster study. So in this I'm going to have a look first of all for some tattoo designs. I'm looking in the Henna tattoo designs and I've found some very nice tattoo designs. The resolution is good. I'm assuming that all of these, although I've put in vectors, are probably JPEG or PNG files, and that's fine. If I take one of these and think, okay, I can use some of this, that'll be nice. Avoid the ones that are from stock libraries with watermarks all over them, because that just gets messy. And I'm just going to save this image to my folder. So we'll save this one as Henna 1. And in my Illustrator, I'm just going to create a new blank A4 document. Into this, I will place my Henna 1 file that I just downloaded, and the size is fine. I'll just go a little closer in so I can see it. What I'm going to do is trace this image. So with the bitmap image selected, I'm just going to go image trace, and it will do a vector version. It's not bad. What it's done is actually not bad. There's a couple of things I need to do though before I can use it. In the image trace dialog window, which you may find down here, but if you don't, you'll find it under Window Image Trace. There's one important thing I need to do, and that is to throw open the Advanced and go to Ignore White. Now, what we're asking it to do is to not make white shapes, only make black shapes, which is what it's done. Now there's a little bit of rubbish down the bottom here that I don't want. Before I can use the vectors that I've just made, I need to expand it, and I need to ungroup it. Now I can get rid of any rubbish that happens to be lying around, and I can also decide which bits I want to take. So I'm thinking that's a nice tattoo design right there. That's the one I'm going to use. Now I'm going to go over to Photoshop, and I've downloaded a picture of a model. So I'm just going to open up my model, which we'll put in let me see, I've got this model here. So this is the model I'm going to use. Again, don't use anything that's got a watermark on it. Make sure that the resolution is high enough. In this case, my image size in pixels is 3,840 pixels. Anything above 1,000 should be fine. So now I'm going to bring my vector tattoo with a command copy, and in Photoshop I'm going to go command paste. I'm going to paste it as a shape layer rather than the default of a smart object. The shape layer gives us some more options. The smart object links to the object in Illustrator, but that's not the best in this case. As a shape layer, I can move it around, but it's sort of not really the size I want at the moment. So we're going to show the transform controls, either Command T or click on the transform controls. I'm going to stretch it up a bit so that it becomes a bit larger. I may decide to rotate it just a bit also. Let's see, something like this perhaps. And the other thing I'm going to do, once I'm starting to transform it, I'm able to change the transform from the free transform to the warp transform. Now, warp transform lets me warp the shape so that we can try and make it look as though it's sitting on the model. So I can play around with this a bit and try and get it to look like it's sort of sitting on my model. Okay, once I've sort of got something I'm more or less happy with, then I'll click OK. And I mean, we can start with simply putting the blend mode of the layer to something like a soft light, and immediately we have the effect of a henna tattoo. The soft light blend mode, rather than the normal blend mode, takes the black and blends it with the color of the skin underneath. So let's see, there's a couple of things we can do to improve this. What looks strange in this is we've got tattoo going across the eye here, which is, you can't really tattoo an eye. So we're going to erase the tattoo from the hair and the eye here. To do that, I'm going to actually rasterize the layer. Up until now, you can see it's beautiful vectors, but now we're going to rasterize it, and it's now pixels. Since it's now pixels, we can go in with the eraser, and we can, working in the shape layer still, we can erase any tattoo lines that just don't make sense, and that should give us quite a nice result and look a bit more realistic. So now it looks like the tattoo is sitting on our model's face. The blend mode of soft light works fine for creating this henna look, but if we wanted, say, to try and match the color of her eyes, for example, or the color of her lips, we would probably want to try something like an overlay. Now, I'm just going to make a copy of this shape layer, and under Effects, I'm going to go to Color Overlay. Now, the default color is this red color, so let's say we go for a sort of a grayish green, perhaps, to try and pick up a sort of a different color there. Then I can also play with the blend mode again and try, hard light or a soft light. But now I've got control over the color of my tattoo. So you can experiment with these different blend modes. Will give you different options controlling the color. I've decided I quite like hard light, but I'm going for a sort of a purplish color is going to be my final tattoo color. So There's my final tattoo color. I'm still keeping my shape layer here, but I'm going to make a copy of my background image, and I'm just going to put these two together. So this is what I'm looking at, my shape copy and my background. If I highlight both of those and do a right click, I can merge the two selected layers. And now I have one that I'm going to call my base layer. So there are many different things you could do now to experiment further with this tattoo exercise. For any experimenting, I would take the base layer and just make a copy of it. So let's say, here's an example. I'm going to try and do a manga version of this tattoo model using the Liquify filter. So I'm going to Liquify, and Liquify lets me move parts of the image. It lets me shrink parts of the image. It lets me enlarge parts of the image. And it so actually really with those three, with move, shrink, and enlarge, we can do all sorts of things. I'm thinking here we'll do a manga version. So I'm getting a brush big enough to sort of catch the eye. It's going to bloat the eye, enlarge it at the center of the brush size, but do almost nothing at the edges of the brush. So you can see I'm really able to enlarge this eye. Now this one here, I'll do a similar kind of enlargement here. Now in the process I've moved that a bit too far across, so I'm going to just move part of this here in. I'm going to shrink down the nose and mouth, so let's shrink that down. Let's shrink those down and probably move them up a bit. So I think I need a bigger brush. Oh. And so you can see we can really play around with the image in this way. If you mess up, don't worry. I'm going to say, okay, that's kind of messed up a bit, but you know what? It's okay. If I didn't like it, I can easily just delete that layer and make another copy of the base layer. But don't experiment on the base layer. That's the one you can always go back to. So what other experiments can we do? So I've decided I'm happy with my manga layer, and I'm going to make a copy of it and try the oil paint. So again, I can go up to filters, go to the oil paint, and just start experimenting with some of these settings with the oil paint to decide if I like it or not. And you know, I mean, it's all there to experiment with. You know, in the end I might decide I really don't like that layer at all. Instead I'm going to back to the manga layer and making another copy of it, and this time I'm going to play with the art filters. So under the filters I'm going to the filter gallery, and okay, so here we have the fresco filter. Now that's starting to look interesting. Yeah, I quite like that one, but there's lots of others as well. And really with all of these filters, the trick is to just go in and experiment with them. Each of the filters has its own set of controls, that lets you kind of customize and experiment with the look that you're getting with each one. So I think that's all I need to say in terms of how to set up your experiments. I would be thinking, apart from the what you do with the setting up the base layer of your tattoo design, I would think 5 or 6 experiments with filtering and Liquify filters, it would be enough. So yeah, enjoy. Looking forward to seeing the results from this exercise.